Hello, second grade Smarties, and welcome to iReady Math Lesson 23, video number 2. Today we are in our instruction book on pages 210 and 211, and we are continuing to talk about using pictographs and bar graphs to organize and learn about data. So we are going to go ahead and start on page 210. It says, read the problem, then you will use the graphs to answer questions. Martin asked the students in his class, what is your favorite sport? His results are in the tally chart. So 7 friends liked soccer, 4 friends liked baseball, 3 friends liked tennis, and 6 friends liked football. How many students did Martin ask? Ooh, all right. So if we wanted to find that whole, we would have that's 7. Ooh, Miss Mason, come on. 7 plus 4 plus 3 plus 6. Ooh, let's go ahead and solve that. How many students did Martin ask? Well, do you know what we can do to solve this problem faster? We can find parts that make a 10. Do you see 2 parts that can make a 10? I do. 7 plus 3. 7 plus 3 makes 10. Do you see 2 more parts that can make 10? I do. 4 plus 6. 7 plus 3 equals 10. 4 plus 6 equals 10. So 10 plus 10 would make a whole of 20. So Martin asked how many students in all? 20. So now we know that he has 20 friends. We know how many students liked each sport. So the first way that we can show this is with a pictograph. And the pictograph uses what, Smarties? Pictures. So each star, each picture stands for one student. So in a pictograph, we organize the data with pictures. So they use stars to represent one student. And we have the labels of the sports, and we have the number of students that liked each of those sports. We can also use a bar graph. Remember, we have our scale on the side, and this tells us the number of students. And we draw our bar under the label for the amount of students that like that sport. So for soccer, we know that 7 students like soccer. So we drew a bar up to that 7, not past the 7, at the 7 for friends that liked soccer. All right, let's look at page 211 at number 2. It says, how do you use the pictograph to find the number of students who chose soccer? So how do we figure out how many students like soccer? What do we have to do, Smarties? So we have soccer. What do we have to do to figure out how many students chose soccer? What do we need to do? We just need to count the stars, right? We know that each star stands for one student. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So how did we figure that out? We counted the stars. How do you use the pictograph? You count each star. Fabulous job, Smarties. Number 3, how do you use the bar graph to find the number of students who chose soccer? So how would we use the bar graph to find how many students chose soccer? What would we need to look at, Smarties? We would need to see where our bar matches the number of students. So we would see where our bar matches the number of students. We would look at where the bar meets the number on the side, on the scale. This on the side, Smarties, the number of students, those numbers, that is called a scale. So the number on the, I'm going to write scale really small here, scale. All right. How many students chose soccer as their favorite sport, Smarties? So how many friends chose soccer? You can look at your bar graph or your pictograph. So I'm going to see where my bar lines up with the number on the scale, and there are 7 students. Number 5 says, explain how to use the bar graph to find the total number of students, Martin asked. So how can we figure out the number of students in all? How can we use the bar graph to figure that out? We can find out where our bars line up to find that total. So I know that my bar right here, it meets at 7. So I could put a 7 right here. For baseball, my bar meets at 4. For tennis, my bar meets at 3. And for football, my bar meets at the 6. So how can we figure this out? We can see where each bar meets the number on the scales. So we can see where each bar meets the numbers on the scales and then put those parts together. Meets the numbers on the scale. All right, number 6 says, how many students did Martin ask? Did we already solve that? So we can write 20 students. We already solved that. Whoa, Miss Mason needs to spell students correctly. We already solved that problem over here. All right, Miss Mason's gonna go mobile. There we go. All right, let's look at 7. It says, how many fewer students chose tennis than football? Ooh, that word than tells me that I am comparing. So what kind of equation should I make? If I'm comparing, I'm going to want to find the difference, so I am going to subtract. All right, so we are looking at tennis and football. Let's go over to our bar graph. So we had 6 friends that liked football, and we had 3 friends that liked tennis. So I'm needing to make a subtraction problem because I do have fewer students that chose tennis. How am I going to use these numbers to make a subtraction problem? What am I going to start with? I'm going to start with 6. 6 is my greatest number. And I can't start with 3 because if I have 3, I cannot take away 6. So 6 is our whole. We're taking away the part that both numbers have, right? We have 3 in the number 6. Now we need to find what is different. 6 students chose football. 3 students chose tennis. How many fewer students chose tennis? 3. So 3 fewer students. We know what is the same. We had to find what was different. All right, number 8, it says 2 students changed their answers from soccer to baseball. Now, how many students chose soccer? Okay, all right, so here, I'm going to read that again. 2 students changed their answer from soccer to baseball. The first thing I'm going to do for this first one, it says, now how many students chose soccer? So let's look back at our bar graph. How many students chose soccer first? 7. Okay. And how many first chose baseball? 4. Let's go ahead and write those down here. Now, we know that 2 friends changed their answer. So soccer Is that going to be greater or less? If people change their answers, that means that we are losing students that chose soccer. How many students change their answer? 2. So we have 7 that at first chose soccer, but then 2 changed their minds. So how many students chose soccer now? We had 7, 2 changed their minds. So we have 5 students that chose soccer. But those 2 friends moved to baseball. So at first we had 4, and now we had 2 more that chose baseball. So did our number for students that like baseball, did it grow or did we lose some? It grew, right? It became greater. So we added 4 plus 2, and we had 6. These are tricky, Smarties. Some of these questions that we will see with bar graphs and pictographs and even line plots, you have to read them more than once because sometimes it can trick you. Do not get tricked. All right, Smarties, that is it for video number 2 for lesson 23. Remember to keep that growth mindset. You are a good learner, and good learners do challenging things. Reading bar graphs and pictographs, it looks easy, but thinking deeper about it, it's a little more challenging. All right, Smarties, I will see you tomorrow with another video lesson. Happy graphing.